Back in the year 2012, a trade almost went down that would have gone down as one of the biggest trades in NBA history. It would have changed the landscape of the NBA completely, and it would have changed today's NBA as well. This is the trade that would have sent NBA star point guard Chris Paul from the New Orleans Hornets to the Los Angeles Lakers. The proposed trade would have sent Paul to the Lakers, Pau Gasol to the Rockets, and it would have gave New Orleans three pretty solid players in Kevin Martin, Louis Scola, and Lamar Odom, as well as a playoff-tested guard in Goran Dragic, and a 2012 first-round pick that Houston had acquired from the Knicks. But this trade was crumbled when NBA Commissioner David Stern stopped the trade because the Hornets were a league-owned team, so the NBA could stop the trade. They stopped it because they thought it would make the Lakers too good and overpowered. But what if we could go back and make this trade go through? How would the league change? And as you will see in this video, it changes a lot. In this what if, we're only going to talk about 3 seasons after this offseason where this trade would have gone down. Let's start at the summer of 2011 when this trade would have went down. If this trade had gone through, then the Chris Paul to the Clippers trade wouldn't have happened because Chris Paul would have already been on the other team in LA, the Lakers. So, instead of Paul, the Clippers would have what they did give up in the real-life trade, which were guard Eric Gordon, center Chris Kaman, forward Al-Farouq Aminu, and Minnesota's unprotected 2012 first-round pick. So let's hop in to the next regular season. During the real 2011-2012 season, the Lakers won the division despite the Clippers having Paul. In this simulation, the Lakers won 10 more games with the addition of Paul, and the Clippers won 10 less games because they didn't have Chris on the roster. This would have made the Lakers the 1 seed with 51 wins, and the Clippers would drop out of the playoffs with their extra 10 losses. The Hornets' record didn't change because they got a pretty equal package in both deals. No Eastern Conference teams were affected because no teams were a part of any of the deals. In the 2012 simulation of the playoffs, the Lakers would ride quickly through the first round as the 1 seed, just as the Spurs did. In the second round, there's more of the same, and they ride quickly to the Western Conference Finals. They would then meet up with the Thunder in the original NBA. The Thunder crushed the Lakers in the second round, 4-1. But because the Lakers were the 1 seed and now with Paul, it's not more of the same. The Lakers beat the Thunder, and this time it's a close series. The Lakers keep their domination going into the finals, where they beat the Heat in a 7-game series. The Lakers become the 2012 NBA champions. With LeBron still without a ring, he is not part of the GOAT discussion, like he started to back then. Instead, Kobe, now with 6 rings, steps into the debate of the greatest of all time. Also, Chris Paul gets his first ring, which puts him in the conversation of one of the best point guards in NBA history. Now that season is over, let's move on to the 2012 NBA Draft. The Hornets, still being the worst team in the league, still land Anthony Davis at number 1. Everything remains the same as the original draft until the 6th pick. The Trailblazers originally traded up for the pick, but the Clippers got the Trailblazers' original pick from the lottery. So, the Clippers instead trade up and they select...
The Los Angeles Clippers select Damian Lillard of Weber State University.
Clippers fans, this video is no longer the worst video you've ever seen on YouTube. You can stop crying. Trailblazers fans, well, you can start. In this trade, the Clippers had to give up their first rounder and DeAndre Jordan. So, DeAndre Jordan ends up in Brooklyn to be a part of the Nets. That's basically all the changes in this draft, except for the fact that the Lakers picked up Vestas Ezeli. During the offseason, the Lakers don't trade for Steve Nash because they already have Chris Paul, but they still trade for Dwight. The Clippers pick up Roy Hibbert in free agency because they lost DeAndre. Also, the Thunder decide not to trade James Harden because there are many more contenders in the West, so they think they need a third star. Now let's hop into the 2012-2013 regular season. The Lakers get 12 more wins with Chris Paul instead of Steve Nash. The Clippers only lose 2 more games because they got Lillard, even though they lost Chris Paul and DeAndre. Lillard had an incredible rookie season and was named Rookie of the Year in the real NBA. Portland loses 10 more games without Dame. In the 2013 playoffs, the Lakers become the 3rd seed and take down the 6th seed Warriors in the first round. But the Spurs are too much for the Lakers, and the Lakers lose in the 2nd round. Everything plays out the same, and the Spurs go on to lose to the Heat in the NBA Finals. So, LeBron picks up his first ring this season. In the 2013 NBA Draft, everything plays out the same until Portland's pick. Because they were a lot worse, they get the 6th pick instead of the 10th. Despite the fact that they don't get CJ McCollum, they get an even better shooting guard. They trade the 6th pick, a few other picks, and Wesley Matthews for James Harden. The Thunder took this deal because they thought this was a much better offer than the ones they received the previous offseason. The Thunder used the 6th pick on Nerlens Noel, and at the 12th pick, they originally drafted Steven Adams. But now that they got their big man at 6, they trade the 12th pick to the Hawks. The Hawks already have Al Horford, so they don't need to take Steven Adams. Instead,
The Atlanta Hawks select Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece.
that is right. The Hawks end up with Giannis, a future star to pair with Paul Millsap and Al Horford. During the 2013 free agency, Dwight decides to re-sign with the Lakers instead of going to the Rockets, because the Lakers are a championship contender and the Rockets don't have James Harden. The Clippers get Andre Iguodala because they need a small forward, and they look like they have a bright future with Dame and Blake Griffin. Here are the rosters of all the teams affected in this what-if so far going into the 2013-2014 season. The Lakers have a starting lineup of Chris Paul at point guard, Kobe at shooting guard, Wesley Johnson at small forward, Jordan Hill at power forward, and Dwight at the center spot. The Clippers have Dame Lillard at the 1, JJ Redick at the 2, Iguodala at the small forward position, Blake at power forward, and Roy Hibbert at center. The Thunder now have Westbrook, Wesley Matthews, Durant, Ibaka, and Nerlens Noel. The Trailblazers have James Harden, LaMarcus Aldridge, and about no one else. And finally, the Hawks have Jeff Teague, Kyle Korver, Giannis, Paul Millsap, and Al Horford. In the last season, we will talk about a lot of things change. In the Western Conference, the Lakers pick up an extra 30 wins. Originally, the Lakers were the 2nd worst team in the Western Conference, but now with Chris Paul and Dwight, things are very different. This makes them the 3rd seed in the West. The Clips only lose 1 more game without Chris Paul, which still makes them the 4th seed. Houston loses an extra 20 games without Dwight and Harden, which puts them way out of the playoffs. The Trailblazers win 5 more games with James Harden, but still remain the 5th seed. The Thunder lose only 1 more game with the loss of Harden because of the package they got from the Trailblazers, and still remain the 2 seed. And, finally, the Hawks win an extra 7 games with Giannis, which makes them the 5th seed instead of the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference. In the playoffs, the Lakers win in the first round against the Warriors. The Clippers and Trailblazers face off in the first round, and the 5th-seeded Trailblazers upset the Clippers in 7 games. Thunder cruise past their first-round matchup against the Grizzlies, and the Hawks beat the Bulls in their first-round series. In the second round, the Thunder cannot stop Chris Paul and the Los Angeles Lakers, and the Lakers reach the Western Conference Finals in 6 games. James Harden takes over in the Spurs Trailblazers second-round series, and the Trailblazers take down the 1-seeded Spurs in 7 games. The Hawks lose their second-round matchup to the Indiana Pacers. In the Western Conference Finals, Chris Paul, Kobe, and Dwight are too much for James Harden, so the Lakers take down the Trailblazers in 6 games. So, the Lakers and the Miami Heat meet again in the NBA Finals. It's a back-and-forth series, but in the end, the Lakers take it. Chris Paul takes home Finals MVP with a monster series. So there you have it. If this one single trade had gone through between the Hornets and the Lakers, the NBA would be a completely different place. Kobe would retire with more rings than MJ at 7. Chris Paul would have 2 rings and would be a legitimate superstar. The Lakers franchise would have more rings than Boston. Dwight would have a ring. The Clippers would have Damian Lillard and Iguodala. DeAndre would be a part of the Nets. Giannis would be a Hawk. And even though this is where we're ending this video, you would have to think how many more things would change in the future. So many questions. Would LeBron have returned home to playing Cleveland in the 2014 offseason? Would there still be a Warriors dynasty? So many questions. Thank you so much for watching. This video took so long to make. Until next time, from Full Court Press, peace out.
Building a rocket or fighting a mummy or climbing up the Eiffel Tower. Discovering something that doesn't exist. Or give it a monkey.